Hello friends, in today's video we're going to be changing the wheel stud on this Jaguar XF. This is a 2012 model. uh, just going to point out, this is where the wheel stud broke, so we got the replacement part from uh, local dealer, and this costed us £15 for the stud, and new nut costed us £3. So to start off with, we're gonna take the wheel off. Right friends, here we go. I've taken the wheel off, and this is the stud which is broken. The rest of them are fine. Okay, so to start off with, we're gonna take the caliper off. So 2 bolts to remove. Just gonna take the cap off, dust cap off. Okay, so there's one here, so there's a bolt here which we need to remove. I'm just gonna confirm the size of it in a bit. Right, here we go. So that's the bottom bolt we need to remove. So just gonna take the dust cap off first. There we go. So for the lower caliper bolt, we are using P45 bit. There we go. That's the lower caliper bolt out of the way. Right, just gonna undo the top bolt on the caliper. Right, here we go. That's the top guide pin out of the way. Right, so now we're gonna remove this clip here. There we go. There we go. That's the caliper out of the sight. Right, so in order to remove the caliper guide, we need to take off 2 bolts. They both are 15mm bolts. Okay, so just gonna do that. So here we go. These are the bolts. That's the bottom one I'm gonna remove first. Okay, so that's the bottom bolts slackened off. Just gonna do the top one now. It's just here. There we go. There we go. That's the top bolt. There we go, friends. That's the caliper guide out of the way. Just gonna rest it here like that, and also gonna take the disc off. Right, here we go, friends. That's the disc out of the way. So just gonna show you the hub now. So that is the hub. We can clearly see one of the stud which is broken. So now we need to remove the actual hub itself. So for that, we're going to be using a 15mm socket. There are 4 bolts, one here, one there, one on this side, and one at the bottom. 4 bolts. Okay, so we're going to gain access to the 4 bolts from the back of the hub. Right, so just going to remove the broken stud, and for that I'm using a chisel and a hammer. There we go, friends. That's the broken stud. So now we'll have to undo 4 bolts at the back to release the cassette. So just gonna do that now. Right, so to make the life easy, we're gonna apply plenty of WD-40. Right, so I've loosened 2 bolts, so just gonna loosen the other 2. Okay, one on this side. This one I can't get to it with the ratchet, so I'm gonna use a spanner instead. There we go, friends. I've loosened all 4 hub bolts. The one which are securing the hub cassette to the suspension. I haven't taken all of them out completely, so I've left inside. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna tap it a bit and try to pull the cassette out a bit, okay, without damaging the wheel bearings. Shouldn't hit this side of it with a hammer. So the place we're gonna concentrate is at the back here, so we're just gonna do that now. Right, here we go. I mentioned earlier that we're not gonna take the bolts out, but I think we'll have to without taking the bolts off. There isn't any movement on the hub itself. There we go. So that's one of the bolts at the back. Right, friends, here we go. This was the trickiest part, to move the bearing, to push the bearing out. So I've been tapping it around this area with the hammer and the chisel, and also what I had to do is I had to put in a bolt and the nut on the other side, and then I had to drive the nut in to push it all the way into the back of the arm here, okay, back of the hub, and that's how the bearing itself just pulled out. Okay, you can see it has come apart big time. So the tool I'm using as a wedge, I'm gonna wedge it in here, and this is how I'm pulling it out, and then a little bit on this side, and then a little bit on this side. Okay, that was the mission. So that is the hardest bit of this job. Right, there we go. that is the sufficient amount of leverage. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna push in the new stud. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring it up here all the way. Okay, line up the groove and then drive the nut in to force the groove into the hole. Just gonna do that. So here we go. I'm gonna place in a bigger nut and then the hub nut. So I'm gonna drive this in. There we go. There we go. Nice and easy. All the way in. I'm just gonna drive it all the way. And there we go, friends. That's the stud fully in place. Drive the nut out. The spacer nut, I use it as a support. There we go, friends. Job done. The lengthwise is a little bit smaller, but that doesn't matter. Right, here we go. Just gonna drive the wheel bearing bolt in. There are 4 of them. Okay, and that's gonna pull the wheel bearing into the hub and secure it. So just gonna do that now. There we go. Just gonna tighten a bit by bit, let down each bolt. Right, now that I've put the disc back on, the wheel bearing 4 bolts, they are being secured. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to secure the caliper clamp. Okay, so which is secured by 2 15mm bolts. Right, just gonna tighten the bolts on the clamp. There we go, that's the top bolt secure. Just gonna do the bottom one, just here. There we go, nice and tight. Right, so now the last bit we need to do is to secure the caliper itself. So before I bring the caliper forward onto the clamp, I'm gonna place in the brake pad, just like that. Okay, and then the inner pad is already secured onto the piston on the caliper, so just gonna bring it over. There we go, just like that. Just gonna slide it over, nice and easy. Okay, there we go. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna secure all the cables. There we go, that's the cable secured there, and then one here like that. Okay, so the rest is fine. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna secure the caliper itself with the 2 guide pins, one here and one at the bottom. These are the guide pins here. We're just going to clean them, grease them up and put them back in. There we go, friends. We have fitted the new stud on this Jaguar XF 2012 model. I've just secured the caliper and the rest of the components. Okay, the brake clip is in place as well. Okay, thank you very much for watching the video.